There's a huge challenge on the NDIS front as well, Jackie Lambie. 200 people every day going onto the NDIS. They've put in an 8% target cap. It's only a target, but are you worried about the sustainability of that program?
What I'm worried about, and I want to be very careful how I say this, but what I'm worried about and what I do know is I've got veterans out there and elderly out there, and because the NDIS pays more for services right across the board, for medical services, for gardening services, it means the elderly and the veterans are going without or waiting months and months and months for those services and treatment. That's what I know because it pays a lot more in the NDIS. Now, I've spoken to Minister Shorten about this since he got in, and I've seen no change, nor have I seen him raise those amounts for both the elderly and the veterans, so they at least match the NDIS, so we have a fair go. Because right now we're being pushed down the line with services and medical services, and that is a problem in itself. And yes, the NDIS was always going to blow out. There's no doubt about that, and we need to find where we can make some savings here and who really should be on the NDIS and who should not.
Well, $5 billion growth every year. Barbara Pocock, are you worried about that sustainability, even with the 8% target cap?
It is really important for us to properly fund and properly manage the NDIS, and this budget represents a really significant cut on the projected increases that we need for that program. So I'm concerned about that. And you mentioned the stage 3 tax cuts. They are very real in the way that they could be used to fund the things that we need. We need to expand our care economy, pay our childcare workers, the people who didn't get a real increase in this budget, so that we can build the care supports that we need in a population where more and more women are working, and we've got a demographic shift where a lot more people, as Jackie says, are getting older and need support, as well as properly fund the NDIS.
And yet we've got a 10% shortfall in aged care workers.
Yeah, we have to pay them properly.
450,000 jobs needed, 45,000 short.
The NDIS? What's your read on the NDIS as well, on top of that?
The NDIS needs a hell of a good look at. We're going to spend another $700, $800 million on increased staffing to the NDIS. The NDIS fundamental problem is that it was started as a vote catcher with no real thought behind it. Same with the NBN. Same with Gonski. That's one of the things in this country. The governments do not have the discipline to get the data and make the right decisions. They just come up with floating bubbles every now and then just to get some headlines.
David Pocock, to you on the NDIS, they've got that target now, that cap of 8% growth every year, but even with that, to this point, it's been $5 billion growth every year. As someone who supports it, do you also recognise the government's concerns about the sustainability?
I thought Kurt Fearnley the other day talking on RN really nailed it, saying we've got to remember this is talking about people in our communities who desperately need the support to be able to live lives where they can be included in our society and they can contribute. And I think that needs to be the basis of this discussion, but we clearly need to be looking at sustainability of a program like this and ways that it can be run efficiently and effectively to ensure that it's there into the future.
Well, they're nice words, David, but we need to get the money and we need to have the discipline in how we spend it. At the moment, people are trying to kill the mining industry, which is the single greatest source of revenue for this country. Number one and number two exports come from mining, and they're trying to kill it. So it just does not make sense.